Memorable records. The most memorable record I think is Cashing Out for us, because that was it. The way that it came, it was weird. Cash Out actually had a record before that, and I don't even remember the name of the song. That's how unmemorable the song was. And they brought it to us, and they're like, "We got this song we want to push." We're like, "All right, cool." So we started on it for about 4 weeks in. We're like, "That ain't it." But also in that 4 weeks, we had never seen Cash Out. We knew the guys that were behind them, but we never actually saw the artist. So we went to the guys that were behind them and we were like, listen, like, the song ain't the one, but bigger than that, we can't even really effectively work this record because we've never even seen the guy. There's no personal connection to us. He don't come to the club. We just need to know who he is, get a feel for him. So when we said that, they came back like a week later with Cash Out, and he had Cashing Out. And we was like, that's the record. And we started on that record. I'll never forget it. We started on the record at the end of October, right around Halloween. In February, he had a deal. Like, we smashed it through the holidays, and he had a deal really right once the offices opened back up in January, he was signed. And so Cashing Out was very, very memorable for us. Beyond Cashing Out, Racks on Racks, YC, Racks on Racks was another record that I loved that record when it first came on. That was really Future's introduction to the world, but we already knew about Future because he had 2 previous records that we were all over. So Racks on Racks was special because Future was on it, and we already knew that he was about to be a star. And I remember having a conversation with the guys behind YC and saying, now, y'all know when you have a record like this, you got to spend money in the club. You can't have a song talking about all this money and racks on racks on racks, and then come to the club and buy a beer. Like, you're in the strip club, you gotta go hard. Like, and I tell every artist this: you can't make these $1 million records about. And even when it comes to naming your crew and your artists, like, if your crew is called $1 Million Records and Cut the Check Entertainment and We Got All the Money in the World Records, there's an expectation that you have to uphold, and that other artists who don't have those names don't have to deal with. So I told them that, and they was like, whatever. I'm like, okay. Racks on Racks came out, they was in the club every night, mashing the gas on that record, nightly. And that record took off. That record really took off here in the city. And I mean, there are other records that we have, but those 2 stand out because those guys weren't guys that was like, they were the big dope boy kingpins in the city. They weren't part of a crew or part of a team that was already out. They weren't signed to T.I., they weren't signed to Jeezy, they weren't signed to these big names, but YC and Cash Out made immediate impacts in the city just with good records. And that and they tied it directly to us. It wasn't like, oh yeah, they got hot because they with Jeezy. Or they got hot because they with Grand Hustle. It was like, Coalition did that. And we could really stake our claim on that and really say, yeah, we did that. And it didn't take, there were no big names, no big cosigns, just hot records and what my DJs do.